Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. It's the 1996 Spring Tour. We're at Valley Bowl here in El Cajon, California for the Ladies and Legends. Hi everyone, I'm Leila Wagner and welcome to the first stop on the Spring Tour, and the lady working with me for the next 4 weeks, Jan Schmidt. Jan, let's talk about the format that we are using tonight. It's something we usually don't see in the ladies' doubles.
No, we don't, Leila. It's the Scotch doubles. What it is that each member of the team throws alternating shots. In other words, if the woman throws the first shot and does not strike, the man would shoot at her spare. And if she does strike, he'd throw the first shot of the next frame.
Well, is this going to be an advantage for any of our players tonight?
Since there's no lefty-righty combinations, I don't see a physical advantage. But since some of our teams liked the format and some didn't, there could be a mental advantage.
Okay, in our first match tonight, we are going to see a team that did like this format. Kim Adler is a 4-time titleist, and Tita Semez is a 7-time senior titleist.
Well, this team described themselves to me as just being very consistent together, and they proved that by their total pinfalls just being 13 pins apart. And as you mentioned, Tita was very happy about this format, so we'll see if that's an advantage for them tonight.
Well, we'll see if it's an advantage against their opposition in match number 1. That is Carol Norman, with a lot of experience out on tour, 14-year veteran, and her partner, a 33-year PBA veteran, Sam Flanagan.
And they may have to call on that experience tonight, especially if the conditions get tough. Both of these players can throw hard and go direct to the pocket, keep themselves out of trouble. So if conditions get tough, they could have the advantage.
All right, in the middle of the pack, we have 2 players that seem to know each other's games very well. It's Anne-Marie Dugan and Mike Kudik.
Well, they should be the most comfortable together today. They grew up in Southern California. They both bowled in several events out there together. And in this type of format, Leila, where you're picking up each other's spares, I think that could be a big key.
Well, they'd like to get to our number 2 qualifiers. 2 players tonight, if they could win just 2 games, could win their first national titles. It is Liz Johnson and Mike Kench.
Well, they're going to have a lot of pressure on them. You just said it, Leila, to win their first title. But if what we saw earlier today is any evidence of how they handle pressure, look out. Liz Johnson shot at 280 and Mike Kent shot 246 in position round to move from 4th to 2nd.
Well, they might need it because our players in the number 1 position tonight, Carolyn Dorn and Pete Couture. Jan, these 2 players were paired together and they led the field all 3 rounds.
They sure did, and with good reason. They both have hot hands. Carolyn Dorn in her 3rd TV appearance of the year, and Pete Couture, he was a 95 Senior Player of the Year. And I'll tell you, they know each other and they communicate well, so they could be tough to beat.
Okay, our players are going to continue warming up, and we'll be back after this commercial break with our first match. And welcome back to the 1996 Ladies and Legends. Look at Kim Adler, who will be opening match number 1, her partner, Tita Semez. Kim Adler, 28 years old, from Titusville, Florida. Can't open up any better than that, Jan.
No, you can't. And by striking now, when Tita will now throw the first ball the next time he is up in the 2nd frame. So if the players continue to strike, it would end up just like our regular doubles format where they would actually alternate frames.
And our first look at Carol Norman, 34-year-old from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 6 national LPBT titles. Straight at him, all fall down.
Well, the strikes are continuing as we saw all week. The averages were really high this week, Leila.
That's right. Average to make match play. For the women, it was 214. For the men, it was 221. And Carol Norman's partner, Sam Flanagan, 52 years old, from Columbus, Ohio. Has 2 PBA national titles and 1 seniors title. Ooh, little high.
Good look at Carol here. She holds the ball about waist high. She's dropped it a little bit. She used to hold it a little higher. It's well out in front of her. She cups her wrist in the beginning, but she'll straighten it out as she goes through her backswing. She has actually a half knee bend She leans a little bit to the right, but has a good, strong follow-through and can play really direct up the boards that way.
And that was live action there as Carol Norman then in this Scotch doubles format shot Sam Flanagan's spare. And now Kim Adler's partner, Tita Semez, 62 years old, from Wanacue, New Jersey. Lost Wanacue there for a moment. And this team is hot right now with 2 strikes in a row. Can Kim Adler make it 3?
And as I said, real consistent. Here he's holding the ball chest high. He has a real classic approach, a 5-step approach. He opens up a little bit in his backswing. You'll see him right here start to open up just a little. In the chest area, you see how he's open, then he closes back up. Nice deep knee bend, good follow through. Nice style to copy.
And Kim Adler makes it 3 in a row.
Tough start by that team.
I tell you. They're not cutting the Norman Flanagan team any slack here. Sam went high on his first shot on lane 25.
But now he bowls on 26. It's going to be hard to get a read if there's a difference in the lanes because of this type of format. Because the players, you don't know when they're going to shoot on which lane.
Leaves a half 10 there.
Sam has a very unique style. Starts the ball about hip high. He actually kind of creeps here. So you push the ball in, then back out. Real slow approach to the line. Nice high backswing, though, and real low to the line. Actually bent at the hips.
A lot of forward bend there in his upper body.
Right.
A lot more
From
than
the hip,
you see.
waist area bends forward.
Carol Norman's a good spare shooter. It's paying off here as she converts the second spare for Sam Flanagan.
You know, Sam's real deliberate. You know, I mentioned the high backswing, but, you know, he's a very tall man and has to bend a little bit to get a little lower the line there.
Sam took 5 years off from the tour between when his age was 44 to 50 there after he quit the PBA, but he said, hey, I have a chance here to go on the senior tour when he turned 50.
During that off time, he was an assistant golf pro. A lot of golfing.
That's right. He was, take you back to 1961, a West Virginia State High School golf champion, also golfed in college at Marshall University. Because he makes golf clubs as well, custom made. A lot of bowlers golf. I don't wonder if a lot of golfers bowl, though.
They may.
They might. Why not? Average this week, 230 for Carol Norman. She picks up her third spare in a row, but the Norman Flanagan team trails by 21 as we go to commercial. We'll be back with more action from here at Valley Bowl. Tita Semez now up in the 4th frame. This team is working on 3 strikes in a row. And Tita just made it 4.
Now, as they continue, I mean, they're getting to get locked in on just one lane. That's all they have to shoot on right now.
Now, that has to be an advantage.
They said they had fun as a doubles team. They enjoyed it. It was really nice for them, and they talked a lot, communicated well.
Well, actually, both players this week averaged 225, so they both bowled well. One didn't really carry the other. Except right now, Kim is going to put Tita to the test and see if he can pick up this washout.
Or she sat down, she said, oh boy.
Don't give him anything easy, huh, Kim? Tita, 36-year veteran of the PBA, actually bowled the tour part-time through all those years, was busy raising a family. Oh, what a shot. How about that?
You missed some of that at home, but it was a perfect shot. Ball went to the left of the head pin. A good look with the pin cam. Left of the head pin, straight over into the 10. Can't do it any better.
You got it.
There's some experience showing.
Sam Flanagan averaged this week 235, actually averaged 255 in his 3rd round of qualifying. Said it was the best block he had ever bowled.
That's a huge block. I can't even stand him doing that.
And throws a strike here in the 5th frame. This team trailing by 22 can cut it to 12 here, or take it back. Trailing by 28 can cut it to 18 if Carol Norman can double here in the 6th. And disaster has struck this team.
Yeah, see, that's what makes it tough when you have to sit down for 3 frames and never throw a strike shot, and you have to get up and throw one. That's a tough thing to do. Looks like the ball's going to slide here. It looks like it's going to be long enough, and look at that, the fresh back end right there. Ball just took off. These lanes were stripped and re-oiled, reconditioned, so there are still some fresh back ends.
She tries to go pretty hard and straight, hoping to maybe catch the pin off the backboard, but no luck. Meanwhile, Kim Adler is making her 21st television appearance. It is her first appearance here in 1996.
And the lanes may be a little bit similar because she just had to switch lanes. Kim, a little bit of knee bend there, ball pretty low. Kim has a real low backswing. Look at about hip high only, but a nice deep knee bend. Good strong follow through. She's been working a lot at really projecting the ball down the lane. She said that before she had to work at being softer, and now she noticed this year you have to be a lot firmer through the heads and project the ball down the lane.
She has a real long slide too. Oh, well, for the first time up on lane 25, Tita says no problem. Dices the rack. Well, they lead by 50 pins. It's Adler and Semez walking away with match number 1, but there'll be more action from Valley Bowl here in El Cajon, California. Don't go away. Carol Norman now up in frame number 7. This team's trailing by 50. Jan, is there any hope that they can get back into this match?
Oof. Well, they obviously need to strike out, but they'd have to, you know, Adler-Semez team would have to have some disaster hit them here.
Well, that's a start. If you're going to do it, you've got to start somewhere. TV pair average for Sam Flanagan was 212. High game this week, 300. Sam was one of 8 players to shoot 300 this week, 4 women and 4 men. Jan, I know you shot 300. Congratulations on that. Meanwhile, we had a little look at the scoreboard here. They have not thrown a double yet in this match. Sam Flanagan has a chance to throw the first one here in the 8th. Style, wouldn't you say? And a nice little bow to the audience. And there he shines right there.
And a rare show, a rare smile out of Sam Flanagan. Didn't see much of it. Look at that headpin come across.
No problem. Split him up. That's a press right there. They're not going to be shooken up by that, are they?
No, they're not. But I'll tell you, Sam was a very serious bowler all week, and we didn't see many smiles out of him. That was a great reaction.
Career earnings for Tita Semez, $631,000. Actually, he is 3rd in all-time seniors earnings with $250,000 plus dollars. He trails Gene Stuss and John Handegard.
Well, as I said earlier, Tita liked the idea of the Scotch doubles, although he said he had never bowled one. Seems like he's getting the hang of it real well out there.
He's going to even like it better if they continue on the pace they're on.
Kim only bowled in a Scotch doubles once, and that was back as a junior in a junior adult Scotch doubles, and she said she won the tournament.
She said she was the junior.
Yeah, she was the junior. Correct.
Whoa, that was a little light there.
She'll barely catch the side of this 4-pin off the wall, come back out, take the 7 out. Whew. Big sigh of relief.
Save the paint. Save the paint on the pins. Carol Norman trying to make it 3 in a row, and she does. And that's what professional bowling's all about. Here, you get a break and you capitalize on it. Look at the scoreboard. Norman Flanagan can only shoot 226. Adler and Semez, already even with an open, can shoot 230.
They just need some pin count.
Right. I say shoot. That 6th frame there when they left that split.
Sam Flanagan makes most of his adjustments with hand position, speed, moving. He doesn't do a lot of ball changes.
No, comes from an era where, hey, you just use one ball most of the time. You walked in, one ball, one bag early on, and then as times change, you got about 3 or 4 balls. He said, no, I like to do it myself.
I think Carol's going to bowl on the... Carol needs to switch lanes. There she goes. This is a different format for the players. It's the 10th frame, so she will bowl the second shot of the 10th, but will bowl it on the same lane that he just bowled on, just like you would your 10th frame anytime.
Well, the Flanagan-Norman team finish up in 5th place. They'll split $4,000. And they said, now look at them all go. Well, 5 in a row. Going out with a 220 plus game here. If Sam Flanagan strikes, it's 226.
Sam has wife Jill and 3 kids. He'll be rooting him on.
Oh, what a great way to end. 6 strikes in a row for the Norman Flanagan team. However, they just ran into a team that was just a little bit tougher, or they needed to get started a little sooner. Almost saw the 7-10.
And that's enough.
Now Kim will shoot Tita's spare, shoot the 10-pin. A little 10-pin practice here in the 10th.
And a clean game for that team. It's not always so easy in a Scotch doubles tournament.
Well, Tita goes a little high, but it doesn't make any difference. That team finishes out with 241. They will advance to take on Anne-Marie Dugan and Mike Kudik when we come back. And we're back here at the Ladies and Legends. The final score of match number 1. Tita Semez and Kim Adler defeated Carol Norman and Sam Flanagan. 241-226. Now they're up against the 1994 Player of the Year, Anne-Marie Dugan, and her partner, Mike Kudik. Anne-Marie will start, 33 years old, from Edmond, Oklahoma. And she hasn't always been from Edmond, Oklahoma.
No, she was from Southern California, as her partner has been for a long time. And as they talked about with us, they've bowled in several events. PCB, the WPB bowled women's and men's events combined out here.
2 very high caliber scratch tournament organizations in Southern California, the Pacific Coast Bowlers Association and the WWPB. Kim Adler, lane breakdown.
Real close. I guess that's for the entire team. 3 strikes and 4 strikes, so they're both hitting each lane.
Got to throw some strikes in order to shoot 241. And if you recall, after the 3rd frame there, they did have to switch lanes. So they had a chance to bowl on both lanes. 25th career television appearance for Tita Semez. 219 overall average. Of course, is on the senior tour. He did compete part-time on the PWBA tour for years up until that point.
Ball hooked a little bit. His last shot came a little bit high, too, when they were finishing the game. Ball's inside of 10. He's been a little bit right of that, but he sent it right. He actually got it right into the dry boards, and it just took off to the left.
Well, that was actually the lane that gave Sam Flanagan and Carol Norman a little trouble, too. Both of them threw a couple high shots. Kim Spares. And our first look at Mike Kudik, 50-year-old youngster out here, some of them call him, on the senior tour.
He never bowled the PBA, though. He just bowled local tournaments and scratch tournaments, but never got involved with the regular PBA.
They call him the one-ball wonder.
Mike doesn't use much of the approach. He takes 5 steps, but very small steps. Holds the ball about hip high. He's very tall and straight through the approach, just about a waist-high action, but see how low he gets at the finish there. Nice deep knee bend. You'll see him just drop as he gets right near the foul line.
He just throws the ball hard and harder. Oh, I think she got ripped off on that shot.
6-pin kind of laid in front of the 10 there.
Anne-Marie worked a lot at the Cats booth at the ABC when she was off break. The Cats booth is a computer-aided tracking system. Said it really helped her. It's out there at the ABC. Go see her husband, Pat Dugan, and Fred Borden were instrumental in putting that together. Just trying to throw the ball a little straighter. It seemed to help this week. The majority of our players out here tonight, Jan, do go straighter through the heads.
Right, and some of them, as Mike said, he normally likes to hook the ball a little more, but he had to adjust and try to throw straighter because that was the best percentage of carry out here this week. If he tried to cross too many boards and open it up, he just didn't see the carry quite as well.
And lanes seem to be breaking down here for Tita.
He's starting to hook a little bit. His speed seems a little slower, though, maybe causing a little of the hook, but the lanes will start to change. Don't forget, instead of 2 bowlers each game, you know, we have 4, but it's still the same amount of shots, but you have people playing more variety area of the lane.
Yeah, a good spare conversion from Kim.
Tita said he practices about an hour a day, 5 days a week before he gets ready to go out on tour. He said he used to practice more than that, but he slowed down a bit. He has a really a young group of kids at home. He has 3 kids at home, ages 7, 9, and 11. Joey, Melissa, and Michael. He says hi, and his wife, Virginia.
Also don't want to forget his 2 older children, though, Lori and Tommy. And he has 2 pro shops with his son, Tommy.
One at Wallington Lanes in Wallington, New Jersey, and one at Highway Bowl in New York.
All right, well, Tita has now left Kim with a pretty difficult split conversion. However, it is makeable.
The 2-4-10. She needs to get to the ball to the left of the 2-pin and slide it across.
Well, she fails to get the spare, and this team is now trailing by 18. The Dugan-Kudik team leads. See if they can keep it when we come back. We're back here. I'm Leila Wagner along with Jan Schmidt. It's match number 2 of the Ladies and Legends here at Valley Bowl. Anne-Marie Dugan up in the 4th frame. Comes up a little light, leaves a bucket.
Anne-Marie, one of the only players, actually the only player on the show tonight that is familiar with this format because she bowled on this show last year. She bowled with Bobby Knippel. She's the only one of last year's finalists that made it to the TV this year.
Her partner qualified 3rd, averaged 229, had the high average for men throughout the week.
Yes, he did. Most pinfall for men.
And you mentioned the Dugan Knippel team from last year. They came out and shot a whopping 279 in the first match last year, then shot 200, but lost to the champions, Jim Brenner and Cheryl Daniels. They are our defending champions, and neither one of those 2 players, Jim Brenner or Cheryl Daniels, made the cut this week.
No, they didn't.
Dugan team now leading by 21, can make it 31 with a strike here in the 5th.
Ball just sliding a little bit too long. Needs to either get it into a little earlier roll or move right just a hair into the dry.
Do you think she's feeling the pressure like, hey, I'm not really lined up, but if I could just strike, maybe Mike could carry us?
Yeah, well, I guess you would start to feel the pressure after a few frames of not striking, knowing you're making your partner sit there and never get to throw a strike shot. But Anne-Marie's pretty experienced. I don't think it's really going to affect her too bad, at least not after just 3 frames. We'll see how it keeps going. You mentioned Bobby Knippel. I do want to mention he did cash this week, and he was the only man that made the telecast last year that even made the top 24 this year.
Mm. And then, as you mentioned in the opening, no really lefty-righty teams. And we saw a few lefty-righty teams last year, so conditions definitely different than they were last year. Well, he made the adjustment.
Exactly. It was starting to hook on him. He moved to the left a little bit into the conditioner more, and it didn't quite get back enough. They did experience this one of the evenings of match play. The lane started to get what we would call real wet-dry or real over-under reaction. Just like that, the ball would hook and move a little bit, it would slide.
Well, I know Tita really would like to win this event. If he does, he'd join Dick Weber as the oldest man ever to win a national doubles title at the age of 62. And I have to tell you, Tita Smith does not look 62 years old.
No, he doesn't.
Nor does he act 62. These seniors are great out here.
Oh, we had a wonderful time. I totally enjoyed qualifying with the seniors, and I know the people that bowled match play, it was a great experience.
No problem there. Figured it out. And it's the wave coming from Kim. All right. Well, they're trailing by 31 pins right now. Kudik Dugan, match play record this week, 13 wins, 11 losses.
And that was for the team.
Now, how did that work with bonus, Jan? Did each player bowl the other player and get bonus as well?
Right. The ladies led off, and the men bowled anchor, and the women bowled against each other, and the winner received 10 bonus pins. The men bowled against each other. That winner received 10. And then for the total team, the team received 30 additional points if they won.
50 bonus points
right.
Total.
Anne-Marie also making an adjustment just like Tita did up there, and it hooked.
Well, we're through 6 frames right now. You can see a 29-pin lead for the Dugan-Kudik team. And we saw Carol Norman and Sam Flanagan throw 6 in a row in the last half of their game. Adler and Semez can only hope to do that right now.
Okay, that was a nice shot. That was a better shot. A little bit weak. Could have just finished one more turn there.
I know she has to be saying, "Hey, just strike." Then let him throw the first ball.
Anne-Marie also said she didn't do a lot with balls this week. She did a lot with her hand position. She actually tried to break her wrist back, trying to cut down the hook a little bit.
Mike Kudik continues to spare. This team leads by 28 pins. We'll be back with the conclusion of match number 2 in a moment. Kim Adler up in the 7th frame, working on a strike.
Really needs to catch one here.
And that could be the momentum right there.
And she barely got that 10-pin out. 6 barely caught it on the way back.
All right, now the pressure on Tita. He can strike in the 8th. And they will only be trailing by 8 pins. Things have turned around a little bit. Look at the scoreboard. Still could go off the sheet. See if those 36 years on the PBA tour.
Whoa.
They couldn't even get it out in time. Will they come through?
That was a beautiful shot. He tightened everything up, moved everything left, didn't get that right at 10 even. Right around the 10th board only, came in nice, flush, everything straight back.
Meanwhile, the pressure has been on Anne-Marie Dugan to strike. In the first frame, this team's leading, but has not been throwing a lot of strikes.
Oh, there's a nice shot. Okay, now we talked about Mike Kudik. He said that he likes one ball. He doesn't like to mess around with a different feel of different balls. Now, he has not touched his strike ball for 5 frames. He's only been throwing his spare ball. And he said, you know, you never get the exact same feel. That's one reason I like one ball.
Interesting. This ball could feel totally different than his spare ball has been feeling.
Nice shot, though. Got it off his hand well.
Yeah, especially down there. They said that there was a lot of perspiration on their hands this week. It was a little bit warm.
Very warm.
It was difficult to get the same feel.
It's warm outside, therefore warm in here. You can only keep it so cool.
High gain this week for Anne-Marie, 278, low 145. She said that 145 game, Mike shot a big 250 or 260 game, and they didn't lose any pins. That's what team bowling's all about.
And that seemed to be the key for most of the teams this week. They pretty much all told us, you know, hey, we really never lost pins. We kept picking up pins. Even if one was down, the other one was up.
And that's why these are the 5 teams on the show tonight. And this team is making a remarkable charge here, as they have just thrown 4 strikes in a row and have come not to trail anymore. They now lead by 2 and can actually shut out the Dugan Kudik team. What a turnaround. They need 2 strikes and 9 pins, and they will advance. Oh, what a shot.
Beautiful. The Dugan Kudik team can really only shoot 211 here. So I think that they only needed the one strike and 9 pins. Right. 9 pins right here would shut them out. Actually, you'd have to go 9 spare to be 212 to shut them out.
9 spare. Okay, Tita. Wow.
Right? Spare here gives them 212.
Right, and the best the Dugan Kudik team can shoot is 211.
What a comeback.
I tell you, I almost had papers ripped up and out the window. Perseverance pays off. They were trailing by 30 pins in the 5th frame. And they have just won.
And you mentioned it right at that point, too, how the Norman Flanagan team had just thrown 6 in a row.
That's right.
They came close. 5 and 9, but that's all they needed.
Well, it was a good week for Mike Kudik and Anne-Marie Dugan, but they will have to settle for 4th place. And they will split a check for $5,000. Good week. Have enjoyed bowling together. Probably good to see each other again. Anne-Marie has not been out on the West Coast for a couple years.
Right. And her dad came out, Pat Dugan, and her sister was out tonight, Patty Perez. She was glad they were here, and hi to Pat also.
Well, it's all academic at this point. It'll be Tita Semez and Kim Adler now advancing to take on Mike Kench and Liz Johnson. All that when we come back. Disappointing loss for Mike Kudik. He won to bowl well for his dad.
Right, his dad, Paul Kudik, was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, and he wants to wish him well. He really was hoping to win for him.
Well, we have a look at Mike Kench, qualifier 2nd. With his partner, Liz Johnson, opens up with a little bit of a high hit, leaves the 4-pin.
Now, an interesting choice here. They chose to have Mike start the match. The woman did not start.
That's very interesting. I think Liz has more experience than Mike, but not really, because this is only Liz's 2nd television appearance.
Right, they're both going for their first title. I don't know, maybe they felt that he had the better shot on that lane and they wanted to get off to a strike. That could have been a choice. Be interesting to ask them later if they end up going through the field.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. Kim Adler opting to re-rack on lane 26.
She did a lot of bowling over the break, she said. She said she was real sharp when she came out because she won a regional in Abilene, and she stayed basically in the Texas area and did a lot of bowling.
Well, she's thrown 7 strikes in 2 games tonight.
That's how start.
Yes, only out of, 10 possible frames that she was able to bowl in the 2 games.
Right.
All right. Well, Tita Semez has to get back on it here and convert the spare that Kim has left. Again, we are in a Scotch doubles format for our championship round this evening.
Tita covers the spare easily. And as you mentioned, Scotch doubles, so Kim will again bowl. Alternating shots. If you just tuned in, they throw alternating balls.
And also, if you just tuned in, Kim Adler and Tita Semez are 2-0 for the night. They defeated Carol Gorman and Sam Flanagan in match number 1, 241 to 226. They then went on to defeat Anne-Marie Dugan and her partner, Mike Kudik, 212 to 189, and it was a remarkable finish, really. They came out of nowhere and started stringing strikes to shut out Anne-Marie Dugan and the Mike Kudik team. Here they're starting out a little slower, though. And that's sort of what they did last time.
Right, they started slow that last game, just converting their spares, try and hang in there.
Mike Kench from Ithaca, Michigan, is now retired with a pro shop.
He's been on the senior tour for 8 years, and he's bowled in all the events, at least so far.
And it comes very, very light.
Right.
Holds the ball about hip high. He's got a 5-step approach, uses the full approach. Very smooth delivery, kind of a rhythmic approach. Nice knee bend, gets down. Good follow through. He's really smooth. You watch him all the way through. It's pretty to watch.
Well, you said he's never, or he's bowled on senior tour 8 years, but he never bowled on the PWBA tour at all.
No, he didn't. He said he had a family that he was responsible for and needed a guaranteed income.
Well, that pin count could hurt them a lot later on in this match. 5 on the first shot.
And that was a good conversion by Liz Johnson. That's a tough spare to shoot. Oftentimes you'll leave the 5-pin or the 7-pin stand.
This team, one of those teams we talked about, when one bowled good, the other one just kind of hung in there. So they just had a few games that they really bowled well together.
One of them being that position round we talked about in the Open,
That's
280
right.
and 246.
Well, they both have very different game styles. Liz obviously looks like she crosses the boards a lot more than Mike.
She can. She throws a lot harder. She actually has a little more spin on the ball. You can see her, a good view of her track there, pretty far from her fingers. Gets some spin and really gets some skid down the lane, as opposed to Mike, who gets a little more roll on the ball. You know, we keep talking about one ball versus several balls, and we talked to Kim last night. She said she right now has 65 balls with her.
And it is amazing because so many of the men that we talked to throughout this week, and even a few of the women, they don't, they really don't go through that. They don't drill up those balls like the newcomers today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a game of equipment now. It's a game of changes. Other than our top seed Pete Couture, who he says, hey, I go through. I was always an equipment fanatic. Very different.
Good shot there by Tita. Driving a little too hard, leaving that 4-pin. But Kim mentioned that is she does have the luxury of having a motorhome, which is the only reason that she does have the 65 balls, because she drills them in and just hangs on to them just in case.
She does not have to pay ball transport.
That's correct.
Big mistake there.
She just pulled that ball left to target.
We'll have to see if Mike Kench can jump on this opportunity to take the lead in this match. And carries the light hit.
And he jumped on top of that open.
Liz Johnson making her second professional television appearance, was a former Team USA member, gave up her team spot here in 1996 to turn professional. Look at the scoreboard. They now lead by 7, can turn that into a 17-pin lead if Liz strikes here in the 5th.
This is her first attempt at a strike shot. Coming up a little light. All she's been doing is shooting spares so far, so that's like her opening shot, basically. We talked about how they bowled in position round. I found an interesting note in my cards. Liz, in the first show she made this year, this is her second, she shot 287 in position round that time to make the telecast. She's tough and under pressure.
That's right. When she needs them, she does it.
Shows that ball about chest high, 5-step, really small, slow steps. When her feet get fast, she gets in trouble. She had that deliberate arm swing. You see the spin on the ball? It kind of gets it to slide a little too long down the lane.
Smith up in the 5th frame. Carries the light hit.
Tita said he drills about 4 balls a week, most weeks. That's a good average. I think that's what a lot of people do.
Like I said, most of the senior players, that's what they said they did, with the exception of Pete Couture.
As we met, Pete Couture is Kim Adler's coach, so maybe she developed some of her ball habits of drilling off of Pete.
It's a good possibility, and right now, Tia says, all right, I can make this. Bad break there for Kim Adler. Comes up high, leaves the 4-9. She left a washout Tita picked up earlier. Test him again.
Let's see. He's going to switch to a harder surface ball.
Now, wouldn't he want something that would hook more?
To
try to slide the 4-pin in?
Most times you would choose that, but maybe he's real accurate and it's just going to go straight over there.
Well, not in this case. Well, Mike Kench and Liz Johnson have the lead by 19 pins. We'll be back with more of match number 3 in a moment. Liz Johnson up in the 6th frame. Actually the youngest of 3 children. She has 1 brother, 1 sister. This lady started bowling when she was just 5 years old.
There's the strikes we saw out of her all week. She has a lot of amateur experience. Team USA member for 2 years. She gave up her 3rd year on the team this year to turn professional.
One of the lowest average of our 10 players tonight on the TV pair, 197.
Well, they talked about the fact that Mike liked the lanes when they were a little tighter, a little more oil, and Liz liked the lanes that were hooking more.
Well, they should be a little more tight first thing when they start out tonight.
He may be starting to break down. There he's about the 10th board. Watch, it's going to take a big jump left. Head pin just taking out the 4 and 7.
Now, when you're tripping those 4 pins, things are going your way. That was a big strike there as they increased their lead to 29 pins. Kim Adler's going to opt for a re-rack. Meanwhile, we're going to look at the size of the field this week. 73 women, twice as many men, 144 men.
Average to cash for the women, 211, 221 for the men.
And match play, 214, 221.
And to make the show real close, 225 for the women and 225.27 for the men.
It was interesting, actually, out of our 5 teams, 3 of the teams, the men and the women averaged the same. And in our top 2 teams, all 4 players of our top 2 qualifying teams averaged the same, 228. Yeah. So it was very close. Really came down to bonus pins.
Yes, it did.
Crosses over. Look at her husband, Tommy. This is Tom Adler, Kim's husband. A little shake of the head. I don't know about that one, but it's all right. They all went down.
The lanes are definitely going through transitions out there. If you notice, they were striking that first game, then they came up, struggled for half of the game, and started striking. Now they struggled again for half the game. So they're going through some transition.
Well, they're going to have to do what they did last game to have a chance to meet our top seeds. I tell you what, I am not going to count these players out.
And this was Kim's shots just before Tita. Look at her face. Oh, no.
Well, she knew she missed it, but oh yes, I'll carry the Brooklyn.
What a change of emotion there.
Liz Johnson working on a double.
Come on, Liz. Got it.
Six pin just sits in the channel.
Pretty good shot. Didn't come out, though. And this was a real special tournament, real interesting for all of us, but a lot of special things went on, Leila. There was a Pro-Am event held by the center on Friday night for IOF, International Order of Foresters, and the Bowling for Miracles Network for the Children's Hospital. And they raised a lot of money. And then some of the players here this week went out to the hospital, and our LPBT Players Association held a raffle and raised $750 to go to the Children's Hospital.
Oh, that's great. I know one of our top 5 players, Anne-Marie Dugan, was one of the players that went out to the Children's Hospital, took photos and tour guides and everything of the players. That's wonderful. With this new format that the ladies are playing with in 1996, it kind of opens up some free time to do some community work.
It does. There's a good look at the scoreboard. 18 pins right now.
All right, Liz, come on.
A little high, leaves the 4-7. By not striking, though, they sort of opened up the door for the Semez Adler team.
Yes, they did. That was a pretty good shot, though. She just left a weak 10. The ball drove a little harder on that lane, and a lot of times we call that the fast 8. She's not taking out the 4 and 7.
Well, Mike Kench has been noted as one of the seniors who can roll big games, especially 300s. However, his best finish on the senior tour is 4th, and that came in West Palm Beach. All right, Kim Adler up in the 9th frame, big frame for her. This team can shoot 215.
Interesting. The Johnson Kench team can only shoot 211. Same score that Anne-Marie Dugan and Mike Cudick could have shot.
Right now, we have the same scenario as we had last game.
Right, but they could have went out for 225,
right?
They did last game.
Right.
They need, what?
150, 180, 225.
2 strikes and 7 pins here.
He uses all the lane, put it up against the approach, or the ball return. No problem. And that spare secured their chance to advance and have a chance at their first national title. Kim Adler, Tita Semez made a great run, just stopped short in the 10th frame.
Right, Liz just basically needs to stay behind the line here. She'll need 4 pins. Notice Mike went to a harder surface ball, went straight at that pin, all the way across the lane.
Ooh, everybody says. Well, 6 is enough. Kim Adler, Tita Semez will settle for 3rd place. When we come back, we'll show you the rest of the field. Don't go away. More of the ladies and legends. And we're back here at Valley Bowl in El Cajon, California for the championship match of the 1996 Ladies and Legends. Which team will walk home with the trophies? Maybe they'll fly home. You'll have to wait one more game to find out. Lane breakdown from Mike Kench and Liz Johnson.
Only 3 strikes for the team. A lot of spares.
Now spares counted. I'd like to thank John Taylor, the president of the Sports Arenas Bowling, and also Larry Swanson, the manager here at Valley Bowl, for hosting a fine tournament for the 2nd year in a row.
And it's a pleasure. I talked to the seniors and the ladies, and they all enjoy bowling with each other.
All right, a look at Pete Couture, age 50, another youngster out here on the men's senior tour. As you mentioned, Jan, is the reigning senior rookie of the year.
Pete holds the ball, about hip high. He has a 5-step approach. Watch him now, real low backswing, just about waist high. Little bend in the elbow at the top, but a real low knee bend and a good follow through.
Looks a lot like Kim Adler's game there. You know, and he was very instrumental in her coaching and getting her started in her career as a professional. Meanwhile, Carolyn Dorn, 31 years old, North Richland Hills, Texas. Is going to be married soon to professional bowler Del Ballard.
And we could hear her sigh. Apparently Carolyn is mic'd. Mike Kench on the opposing team is also wearing a microphone. We didn't really hear much of that last game. Uh-oh. Whoa.
He said, no problem, no problem. I don't know.
You know, I watched him in practice shooting a Ted pin and missed him in the channel. And I heard him talking to Carolyn and commenting about, you know, usually that'll ride right along there, but it's not tonight. So he made a little adjustment off the practice. Needs to just make a little more.
Don't take any chances. 4 career 300 games for this lady. Liz Johnson opens up with a light strike for her. That gave their team a double. Mike Kench can turn it to 3 in a row.
Doesn't look like bowling for the title is affecting them right now.
No, it doesn't. Liz's first year out here on the national tour. Mike Kench's eighth year on the senior tour. Again, never bowled on the PBA tour. Was busy with a full-time job as a drafting technician. And here's John Taylor, the man I was talking about earlier, the president, Sports Arena Bowling. Also, I know John from way back when he used to bring the ladies to Houston for a Fairlanes tournament.
Oh, all right.
It was wonderful. You know, John's been a big supporter of the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour for years. Qualified first, average this week 228, as well as Pete Couture's average 28 as well.
Well, if I wouldn't hit it, just not quite hitting.
Come on.
I shouldn't have been talking. I missed that. Good slight knee bend here in the beginning, waist high. 5-step approach, kind of slides that first step, about a shoulder-high backswing. Just gets the ball well out on the lanes. Good, strong finish position. Nice bend to the back. Nice bend at the knee.
And I think he definitely made the adjustment there. That was...
Yes, he did. Nice solid cover on that one.
Okay. Well, Couture and Dorn right now trailing by 21 pins. Carolyn has really come into her own here in the last couple years. Just, you know, she's just bowled fantastic. Took her a few years to get it together. It's her 7th year, 8th year on tour.
And we're getting irritated with me. You're getting irritated with me.
You can hear Carolyn.
I think I heard Carolyn too loud. Turn down my headset here. All right, Liz Johnson, only 21 years old. Career earnings so far, $6,175. All came on the winter swing. I asked Liz how she felt, how she could sum up the winter swing. She said, you know, it was a lot more difficult. It was harder on my hand. And a lot more swelling and some cuts and things like that. And that all comes when you first come out here on the tour. A lot more games under a lot of pressure.
Yes, it does. You know, a lot of people have trouble with that throughout their careers. What a big start for them trying to bowl for their first title.
And, you know, that always eases up the rest of the year, too. Boy, to get your first title in your first year on tour as a doubles title could be a shoe-in for Rookie of the Year for Liz Johnson. And then just think of the confidence it gives her for the rest of the year to go out and possibly win again.
Yeah. That'd be pretty amazing. And, you know, a lot of times talk about after your first win in particular, you come back the next week and it's difficult to bowl, but Liz would, if she were to win tonight, have the advantage next week of coming back to bowl another doubles event where she would have a partner to help her get through those opening jitters after. Even if she doesn't win, you know, a second place finish would be really good for her at this point also.
And Pete Couture with 5 PBA titles. Also has a doubles title with his partner Tommy Hudson, as well as Carolyn Dorn. has 2 national doubles titles. Is that correct?
She's got 2 titles. One's a single.
Oh, one's singles and one's a double.
Right, one with Lisa Wagner, and a singles title in Columbia, Tennessee in '94.
All right, trailing by 31, but can start cutting that deficit down dramatically if Carolyn can strike here in the 6th.
Come on.
And a look at Kathy Dorn. It's always nice to have the family here supporting you. Well, we'll be back with the conclusion of our championship match. Don't go away. More action from Valley Bowl. Liz Johnson's team now working on 5 strikes in a row, can make it 6. A little hard.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Right, Mike Kench really needs to convert the spare, not to give up anything to the Doran Couture team, as they are now sitting on 3 in a row. Nice week here. Rich Weber, Sandy Curtis, want to thank them for their hard work in the PBA press room, along with Angel Tucker, the ladies' side. Also, it was nice to see Dick Evans out. He suffered that heart attack earlier or last year. It's nice to see him back going strong. Kent Johnson leading by 18.
Okay, we'll see if she can come back. Now, they had the break, but normally you see him after the break come out and throw the ball a little bit slow after sitting. You don't normally see him throw it too hard. She might have hung up a little bit, though, because she might have swelled up over the break.
I don't know. She seems like a lady that really gets the adrenaline going and will throw harder and harder and harder.
This was Liz's shot. Look at the ball. It actually finished a little high. It had been flying off the wall, taking out the 7-pin.
Couture opting to re-rack. Liz Johnson just trying to take her time. Mentally think about how she threw that ball. Would like to throw another shot just like it. Mental game. Big game these days.
Big. Liz said that, in fact, Liz talked about that last night. She said her junior coach, Ron Mort, took her through the junior and the physical portion of the game, but Fred Borden really took her through the mental portion of the game and taught her that.
Fred Borden, of course, coach of Team USA, and is now retiring from that position. Couture coming up high, shaking his head. You see a little arm motion there, hand motion. You know, that's what he did wrong with it. Just turned it a little early.
Exactly. Came over the top of it, did not project that ball down the lane.
Carolyn having to try to convert here. The 3-6-10. 1995. Carolyn was 7th in earnings with almost $75,000. She's currently the 1996 Players Association president. You heard her give a few words of encouragement to Pete. Come on, start us off. They're currently trailing by 21.
Another half 10-pin there. All right. It's going to convert it. They're just trying to hang in there right now. Stay clean.
This team led once they were put together. Of course, all the players qualified separately, and after 3 rounds of qualifying, they were then matched up together.
Right, and they led every round after that.
But it was close.
It was. It was very close. It was within 20 pins at some point.
And look what all our players were bowling for this evening. For first place, $15,000 check to be split between the 2 players. Second place, $8,400. Third place, $6,200. Fourth, $5,000, and fifth, $4,000. Talking about the positions by round, you can see there the Doran Couture led for the last 3 rounds of match play. And Mike Kench answers the call. Increases their lead to 32 pins going into the 9th frame.
Wow, they really are tough right now.
They sure are. I think they both want this national title.
I think they do, and I'm sure Carolyn Doran's sitting there saying, what is happening to me? And the last time she led a tournament was the Queens event last year, and Sandy Postma came out and just threw strike after strike against her. Beautiful shot.
I have to comment on Mike Kench talking about Liz Johnson. He was so complimentary during our interviews, and just to, you know, hey, she just held me up, and she's going to win our first national title for us, and he's definitely played a big part in this, though. Can't take any credit away from him.
One for the dipper. Okay, the best they could shoot right now would be 235.
It already appears that the Johnson-Kench team has 240 even with an open.
Yeah, just depend on pin count unless they get a real bad pin count in there.
Well, they had the 5 count last game, but that was quite a while ago. I think they figured out the lane since then. Oh, well.
That's only fitting.
Well, that's going to close them out, and the winners of the Ladies and Legends, first-time champions in her rookie year, Liz Johnson.
Oh.
All right, Pete.
And he closes it out with style there.
That's right.
It's like,
now I have to bowl again. See, Carolyn took off her wristband, said she wasn't going to bowl again. Very little trust here in her partner, I'm telling you. Why, that'll show her, or that'll teach her.
she's up there laughing.
Can't believe you slide that over. Well, one thing, this week was a lot of fun for all the ladies and all the seniors and the spectators. They really enjoyed it as well.
We had great crowds here through match.
All right, this team finishes out with style and a 2:15 game. But it's not going to be enough. The Liz Johnson, Mike Kench team was just too tough tonight.
They could take this off the sheet for 277.
Well, that was the big game that they had in the position round. It carried over. Would they shoot 538 for 2?
Yeah, 536, I think.
Liz shot 280?
280. Actually, he shot 246. It was 526.
526. Liz shot 280 and Mike shot 246, and a wave to the crowd from Mike Kench for his first national title. Came in his, well, 8 years on the senior tour.
Carolyn had her cousins come out too. She had the whole group come out. Paul and Colleen Dorn were out here to watch her, and I'm sure she wants to say hi to her parents and Dal and everyone else. And
well, also Carolyn's had a 300 this week as well as a 299. There's a hug to each of the champions from each other. You see there the winners now of the 1990 season legends. They'll share $15,000. Good round of applause from the crowds. We'll be back to talk with our champion after these messages. There they are, the winners of the 1996 Ladies and Legends. Liz Johnson and Mike Kench, congratulations. Let's get right to the presentations. Larry Swanson, beautiful trophies.
Yes, we've had a wonderful tournament this week. On behalf of all the Valley Bowl bowlers and staff, I'd like to present you with these 2 beautiful trophies, one for each of you. Thank you very much. And nice job.
First-time champions here. Larry Swanson, of course, the general manager here at Valley Bowl, and coming in, John Taylor, the president of Sports Arena Bowling, with a check to split for $15,000, $7,500 each.
Liz, Mike, congratulations. Great bowling all week. You certainly deserved it. For all the Sports Arena's employees and the bowlers of San Diego's, I'd like to give you each a check for $7,500.
Thank you.
All right, and I have a question for you here. Real quick, first-time champion, Mike, did you think a woman was going to help you win it?
Oh, she was a horse. I needed it. She was great. She was really great.
Well, that's what you said earlier. You were counting on her to help you win that first title.
You got it for me.
yeah, but Liz, how about from your end? Was it easier to win with a partner?
It was tough both ways, but Mike bowled great all week. We bowled great together from the beginning, and we just finished out great.
Well, what about shots for Rookie of the Year now? This is a big boost for that, isn't it? smile. All right. Well, it could be possibly Player of the Year. For Jan Schmidt, I'm Leila Wagner. So long, everyone. Join us next week as the ladies go to Las Vegas, Nevada.